Yes, people, welcome back. Welcome back. Because Elliot Anderson, is he the real deal? The 22-year-old England midfielder played against Andorra. He played against Serbia. And he left no stone unturned. He delivered. He done what Thomas Tuchel wanted him to do. Has he now forced himself into the England side ahead of the World Cup? And look, there's a long way to go. But is he now one of them players that you look at the England squad in the next months and you say Elliot Anderson has to be in there? Because look, the 22-year-old has dazzled in the two games that he's played. And, you know, it's not Spain, it's not Brazil, it's not France. You can only play who's in front of you. But Elliot Anderson, I have to say, he has done his job. He has carried over the form of what he carried at Nottingham Forest from last season into this season and now into the England team. Man of the match against Andorra, started against Serbia, and again was very comfortable. And look, let's not get it twisted. Serbia was 7 games unbeaten. We know how hostile the atmosphere is. We know how difficult they can make it. They hadn't conceded a goal in World Cup qualifying, but England made it look easy. However, Elliot Anderson again playing in that hostile environment, thrown into the limelight by Thomas Tuchel. People were thinking, would he get rotated? With Jordan Henderson? Would someone else come in who can maybe shore it up and sort of lead the way and Elliot Anderson can come on? No. Thomas Tuchel had full confidence in the young Nottingham Forest midfielder to say, do you know what? You played well against Andorra. But I'm going to give you a little bit more of a test now. Can you do it against a tougher team like Serbia? And most certainly he did. And I'm looking at it already and I'm thinking, Elliot Anderson, he has to be in that midfield at the moment. I'm not saying he's a guaranteed starter, but when it comes to the England selection and the midfield, he has to be in it. When it comes to, you know, looking at consistency over the last 12 months, you're looking at the England midfield and the regime that is going through a bit of a change now. You know, Jordan Henderson is getting older. We can't rely on him to carry the forefront of the England team when we're going into the World Cup next season. We've now got to look at the younger talent, the young blood, the players that have that intensity, the legs, the drive, the athleticism. Elliot Anderson right now is epitomizing everything you want of a central midfielder. Let's be real, guys. Yes, we know he's not no Pedri. He's not no, you know, Busquets, or, you know, you're not looking at him as one of them French midfielders, Italian midfielders, or whatever it is. But we can't compare. We've got to look at what England have got right now. When you look at Declan Rice, you look at Elliot Anderson, you look at Jude Bellingham when he comes back into the fold, another glorious player in Adam Morton that I think has to be wearing that England shirt. Elliot Anderson has to be in that midfield right there. He's done enough over these 2 games that I'm like, do you know what? Fair play to him. Because his performance against Serbia is the one I'm going to talk about rather than the Andorra game. We will mention the Andorra game. But it's the game against Serbia for me that has showed that, yes, he is ready to wear that England shirt. I love Elliot Anderson in terms of his attitude. I think that's the big thing I'm going to commend him for straight away. A lot of players can take that England shirt and maybe crumble or maybe try and do too much and fold under a bit of pressure. But Elliot Anderson, he seems to come in. He seems to be very mature in his interviews. And he says, do you know what? Yes, I was nervous. Yes, I do feel the pressure of wearing an England shirt. But what do? I stay calm and I do the basics right. If I do the basics right, the rest will follow. And I wish a lot of other footballers would do the same when it comes to club football or international football. When you get that breakthrough, do the basics right, get your confidence going, and the rest will then be flowing. And that is what Elliot Anderson has done. He's played in the number 6 role for England, and it's a role for me that I feel like England have struggled in for a number of years. And when I say a number of years, I'm looking back to who's played there, not even the Gerrard and Lampard time, that probably the times where we had Michael Carrick in midfield and we didn't use them enough for England. I feel like England have always had that system where it's lacked a proper number 6. And look, do I think Elliot Anderson is a proper number 6? No, I don't. But do I think he's the best of the bunch behind Adam Morton? Yes, I do. Because we've seen it. He's been very calm in front of the, getting the ball back to goal. He's been very calm on the ball. He's been able to pass through the lines. He's able to travel with the ball as well. And he has positional intelligence. You don't really see him getting caught out. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time alongside Declan Rice. And do you know what, Elliot Anderson? You have performed. You've done well. I think you know, with everything that you have in terms of a complete midfielder, he does have that in the modern game. You look at someone like Elliot Anderson, and like I said to you, he can pass. He's got the athleticism. He can get up and down the pitch. He can put a tackle in. He can pass through the lines. And also, do you know what I love about it combined with his attitude? He plays with no fear. And I think the come up of Elliot Anderson has actually shocked me a little bit, if I'm honest with you, because 12 months ago, when Nottingham Forest signed him, or whenever it was from Newcastle, it wasn't too long ago, I kind of was like, Nottingham Forest deciding him because he's a homegrown player. Newcastle are obviously okay to see him go. They obviously don't believe in him as much as maybe others do. And Elliot Anderson has kind of proved to many of the footballing world right now and the Premier League that, yes, do you know what? I am a good player. I'm an England under-21 international. I just helped them win the Euros, and I played a very important part in it. And Nuno gave him a lot of the keys at Nottingham Forest last year to grow, become a first teamer, help them get back into Europe. And now he's a regular starter at this football club, where Ange Postecoglou is going to come in now and probably make him even better and see more of Elliot Anderson getting box to box in a high energy team, a dominant team that want to have the ball under Ange Postecoglou. I think Elliot Anderson has done very well. And, you know, it's not just about Elliot Anderson. I think for me, when you look at England, it's also about partnerships as well. And I think when you look at him playing in that 6 role and being more comfortable, I have to admit it, he is better than Declan Rice in the number 6 role for me. I feel like Declan Rice, and I'm not trying to say Declan Rice isn't a good player, but I feel Declan Rice is definitely a player that we can see getting further forward, as we saw with his goal against Andorra. And what Elliot Anderson does is allows him to do that, because he's sitting in the number 6 role, because he's being calm and patient in there, and he's not trying to run around like a bull. He's sticking to his instructions, doing the basics right, and it's allowing England to get their best players on the ball further forward and allow Declan Rice to use his energy, his dynamism, and get up and down the pitch, as he saw when he arrived late for the header, which he scored against Andorra. Now, look, I know the opposition wasn't great, but at the end of the day, football is sometimes about partnerships. And Declan Rice looks like he's been very much enjoying his football alongside Elliot Anderson in just these 2 games. They seem to have a good combination. They seem to have good communication as well. You know, Declan Rice is pointing to him, drop in here, get back here, I'm going to roam forward there. And that's what it's about. It's about teamwork. It's about giving yourself the platform to succeed, but also giving the other player, your partner, as in Declan Rice, the platform to succeed as well, because you want to get the best out of each other. And I think Elliot Anderson has done himself duly and a lot of amount of credit in this England setup now, where a lot of pundits are talking about it. You know, a lot of people online are talking about Elliot Anderson. He's starting to get mentioned more. And fair play to him, because he does deserve it. I have to say he does deserve it. If no one did see his performance against Andorra as well, look at the stats. And I know it's only Andorra, but 107 of 114 passes completed, 20 passes into the final third, 15 ball recoveries, 7 of 8 long balls completed, 4 of 8 aerial duels won, 2 out of 2 tackles, 1 interception. And this is why I said, when you look at modern day central midfielders, he can do a bit of everything. We've seen him do that at Nottingham Forest. He is the action-packed guy. That is what he does at Nottingham Forest, getting up and down the pitch, being the engine room. And we've seen that now at England. And I think one thing England have lacked in the last couple of years is a midfielder that is able to get on the ball and be brave. England need that now. England have got players like Marcus Rashford, Madueke, Anthony Gordon, Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers. You want to get these players in the final third receiving the ball. You want to be able to play through teams, be a threat, get them running back towards their own goal. And Elliot Anderson, for me, on the ball, is wanting to be brave. Yes, he plays safe at times, side to side, but that's fine. You can do that in the right moments. But when it's also the right moments to play through the lines and look to try and break down opponents, he's also trying to do that. And I like it, because there's nothing wrong with a player making a mistake for me. If a player makes a mistake, gives the ball away by trying, cool. I'm happy to see that, because I'd rather see you trying than not. Unfortunately for me, Jordan Henderson's not my type of player, and we've had to watch him in England. And I know England have got far in competition, but when it's come to the nitty-gritty, we've fallen short. But Jordan Henderson, for me, is not the greatest passer on the ball. He's very safe, very basic. Yes, he plays with passion. Yes, he plays with heart. But sometimes you need more than that. You need that extra bit of ability. And Elliot Anderson coming through the England under-21 camp, winning that Euros, getting that winning mentality under him as well, because a lot of other England players haven't even managed to achieve that yet. He's bringing that, and fueling that into the England team now. And he seems like a very mature player that is ready to become a regular England international. Now, look, I think it's exciting for Nottingham Forest fans as well, because when you've got Ange Postecoglou coming into the football club, I can now see him and Douglas Luiz working really well. I think he can carry on this form into the Nottingham Forest setup. And I think that Ange is going to prefer Douglas Luiz over Sangari. And Douglas Luiz and him can build up a good pattern. And I think that Douglas Luiz can play in a 6, but he can also play as an 8. And I think now, having two players like that, which is similar to Declan Rice, if they can work together, one sit in sometimes, one go forward and build that relationship, they've got a good midfield there, Nottingham Forest, with someone like Morgan Gibbs-White, who's also an England international, just ahead of them. Exciting players like Dan Ndoye, Callum Owendo, Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think this confidence boost for Elliot Anderson from the England internationals can now feed into the Nottingham Forest setup where he's already performing and thriving. But I just think he deserves this video because it's not just the England performances that stood out for me. It's the consistency of Elliot Anderson, but also the all action, the all-round game. He can do a bit of everything. And whether it's, a 4-3-3, whether it's a 3-5-2, whether it's a 4-4-2 like back in the day, I feel like he's acclimatized to play in all conditions. And it's always handy to have a midfielder like that in your squad. Doesn't have to always start, by the way. Not talking about, Elliot Anderson has to be a starter at the World Cup. I'm not doing none of that. But what I'm saying is, has he done enough to warrant himself to be in the next England squads? Yes. Do I see him being in that England World Cup squad because of what he can offer as a squad player in a 23 or 26-man squad? Yes. Unless injuries get in the way, the only way for Elliot Anderson at 22 years of age is up. And fair play to him because he has shown me, because I wasn't really rating him as much when I was seeing him at Newcastle. He showed me, look, if I get the move and I get game time, I can show you what I'm capable of. And fair play to him. And, his family must be proud. Nottingham Forest fans must be buzzing. And England fans that are watching this right now, make sure you liking and subscribing. You must be thinking it's so nice to see an England player play with no fear and just take the ball by the scruff of the neck. So fair play. Elliot Anderson, you've done your job over the last 2 games. And I wish you all the best, mate. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video.